quick start. He wants to have all electric cars. Everything has to be electric. And by 2030, that's in 6 years from now. And you know what? Electric cars are fine. They have a problem. They don't go far. They cost a lot to buy. And they're all made in China. Other than that, I think they're wonderful, right? And I'm going to end that mandate on day one when I get to office. I met with the truckers over the weekend, and great Roger Penske is a trucker. He's also a great Indianapolis. He won it 20 times. Can you believe it? Think of how smart you have to be. Japan, Germany, all these nations, they spend billions and billions of dollars trying to win the Indianapolis 500. And Roger Penske's won it. He just won it again. He's won it 20 times. Think, that's the kind of brain power we need. That's what we want in our military. And we have people like that. A lot of them are shut out because they're woke. The woke stuff will be gone within a period of 24 hours, I can tell you. And go out and buy Pete Hegseth's book because he tells you about it better than anybody. Pete Hegseth, he wrote a book. He tells you about the woke military. But I will tell you, we defeated ISIS and they weren't woke. They weren't woke. We have great generals. We have not the guys on television. We have great generals. We defeated ISIS in a record time. It was going to take 5 years. They thought it would. I remember in Washington, sure, it'll take 5 years. I went to Iraq. I met with the generals. I met a General Raisin Kane. His name was Raisin. His first name was Daniel Kane. They called me Raisin. I said, you mean your name's Raisin Kane? I love that. I love you. I've been looking for you. Anyway, long story. You've heard the story. But we knocked him out in 5 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. He said, we'll hit him from the left. We'll hit him from the right. We'll hit him underneath and on top. We'll hit him. They won't know what the hell happened, sir. How long will it take? 4 weeks. Maybe you'll have time left over. I said, how come they tell me in Washington 5 years? Because they don't know how to fight, sir. They don't know how to fight. We have a great military. We have a great, great military. So I'm going to end the electric mandate. We're going to end the electric mandate also on truckers. So the truckers come to see me. They say a truck going to California. They like that. Tell them to make the microphone louder. It's terrible. It's dead. He just came up. Are the teleprompters not working, sir? Not even a little bit. Great job. And then I don't pay the company that does it, right? And then I end up with a story Trump doesn't pay. I don't pay contractors that do a shitty job. And that's a shitty job. That's a shitty job. You can't read a word. But you know what? It usually ends up that the speech is better. It's crazy. Then they'll say, oh, isn't it terrible? Trump takes advantage of his No, I take great. When I have a good contractor or a subcontractor, nobody gets paid faster. But when I have contractors that do this kind of work, you can have them. Could you imagine if Biden was up? He's no good with the teleprompter. He's the worst I've seen. But could you imagine if the teleprompters went off? Here's Biden. He wouldn't even say anything because he's incapable. He'd probably go pause, pause. How about when he's reading the teleprompter and then they say pause, meaning, maybe you'll get about 3 people clapping. And he goes pause. No, he'd just walk off the stage like this. Oh, teleprompter. Oh. This guy is the worst. I always treated him with a certain respect. I hated the election was rigged and stolen, whether you like it or not. Big. We did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. Got millions more votes. Everybody knows it. They said if you got the same number, we got millions of more votes. Millions. That's by them. That's by them. But, when he indicted me over nothing, they opened up a whole new box. And then I got indicted again and again and again. I was never indicted. In a period of this little tiny period of time, I was like a ping pong ball. Sir, they indicted you here. They indicted you in Georgia. They indicted you in New York. Then they indicted you again in New York, sir. And it was all over can I use that word again? But you'll use it. A disgrace. A disgrace. And what they've done is they've weaponized the Department of Justice. The only thing they didn't understand is that we just had the largest fundraising effort in a period of 1 week than anybody has ever had. Did you know that, Marjorie? They go to the microphone and they announce, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be going home with my family and I'll be fighting for my name. That's the last you ever hear from the person. We have higher poll numbers now than we've ever had. Too big to rig. That's what we want. Too big to rig. Too big to rig. Crooked thief of a president. And I would never have said that before. I didn't speak glowingly. He's a lousy president anyway. But I would never have said he's a corrupt, very dumb person. He's a low IQ individual, and he always was. This isn't age. He's worse now than he was 10 years ago. But if you go back 30 years ago, he was considered the dumbest person in the U.S. Senate. Ted Kennedy told me that himself, who was a friend of mine, which is shocking. Shocking that he was a friend. He was on a slightly different persuasion, Marjorie. But he told me that. He's the dumbest person in the Senate, and he has been from day one. How about this? On the documents, they go after me for documents, and then they find out that Joe has 10 times the number of documents than me. I said, you have to be kidding. And they released him. I said, I don't want to be released like that. They released him on the basis that he's incompetent and he can't stand trial. I said, oh, I see. So he can't stand trial, so they're not going to charge him on 50 years worth of classified documents. He's incompetent. He won't have to stand trial, but he's allowed to run for president. So think of that. You have a guy that can't stand trial. He's not allowed to, by the U.S. attorney, the man doing it, Mr. Hur. Now, I've never heard of this before because he wasn't incompetent. He was never smart, but he wasn't incompetent 10, 15, 20. This is 50 years worth of documents. So he got off. In a sense, he got off. I said, I don't want to get off like that. I did nothing wrong. It's Presidential Records Act. I did nothing. You know, we have a deranged individual named Jack Smith. He's a deranged, dumb guy. He's a dumb son of a bitch. And what he did, and I just want to get off normal. Can you imagine, sir, they're exonerating you. They consider you to be incompetent. And therefore, because you're incompetent, they're going to exonerate you. I said, I don't want that. Let me be guilty before they do that. But think of it. They say he's incompetent and therefore he can't stand trial. But he can run for president. And this is what you're voting for. And I never talked about this guy like this. But you watched him yesterday. And he is so bad for this country. They're all laughing. Everyone's laughing at him. The whole world is laughing, except for the fake news back there that try to pretend he did a good job because they're fake and dishonest. So we have a country that's in trouble. We're going to end the mandate on electric one day. They want to make all boats, too. I went to a boat company in South Carolina. The boat. I said, how is it? He said, it's a problem, sir. They want us to make all electric boats. These are boats that are from 16 to 35 or so feet. Fishing boats, leisure boats. Beautiful company in South Carolina. Beautiful. Guy's been doing it for 50 years. He sells hundreds of boats every couple of months. I mean, really fantastic guy. And they use the Mercury engines and different engines in the back. No problem. They want to take that out. They want to make it all electric. He said, the problem is the boat is so heavy, it can't float. I said, that sounds like a problem. He said, also, it can't go fast because of the weight. And they want to now have a 50-mile or a 70-mile radius. You have to go out 70 miles before you can really start the boat up. And you go out at 2 knots. That's essentially almost like 2 miles an hour. I say, how long does it take you to get out there? Many hours. And then you're allowed to go around for 10 minutes, but you have to come back because the batteries only last for a very short period of time. So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen?